Hello guys, I hope you're doing well today. In this video, we are going to learn about named navigation in Flutter. In a previous video, we have learned how to use navigator class to navigate between screens. But there is downside of using navigator with the basic things that provide us, and one of the downside is that we have to write lots of boilerplates for just a navigation to another screen, and it could be very, for example, complicated and complex for writing routes, and there is a better way called named route. What is the name route and how we could use it? Named route is a kind of way which you say as website and web. You say, for example, /forward home. If I could write very well without any pen, you say this name indicates a screen which is a widget, which could be a stateless or a stateful. Then through using this name in all over your project, you could navigate to this screen, you could pop, and you could do all navigation stuff very easily using just a name of that, and you could get rid of this boilerplate written everywhere of your code. So let's get started and see how we could use the named navigation in our project and Flutter. The first step is to omit the home property and comment it. Why? Because when you want to use named route, you have to specify page by page and separate them by names. So you have to comment the home property and come and use a property called routes. The route, if you hover it by your mouse, you would see it's a type of map which consists string and a widget function, which is a build context and returns our screen. So how we could use it, let's see in action. So if it's in a map, we could use a map brackets here, and then we have to specify our pages. There is a very important things I have to mention, that very important is that the main screen of your app, when you want to use named navigation, should start with an /forward and without any kind of things here. So if you go, for example, to a website and you are in an index.html, which is the main page, you would see just for example a www.name.com and /forward. This is the home page, so the /forward is indicating the home page for us. The home page could be our splash screen. The home page, it could be for anything. The screen which is indexed should be used with a /. So in our case, if we want to use it, my home page is the main case. So I will call it with a /, and I will leave everything blank and use a colon here and say ctx or context returning an stateless or a stateful widget. I would call it my home page. When you're using routes, be aware of using constructors, because you are not able to pass anything between screens like using navigator and constructor here, because when the main run, there is nothing could be provided to your classes, and stay aware of it. Then we could use and bypass data with screens with another method. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to modify it down here to not requiring us passing a string to it. So I'm going to say I don't want a string, and the text you have could be a title. And there is a problem with that, say that all final variables should be initialized, I could not find the final string is here, so I'm going to delete the title to not requiring us passing another thing. In a route property, we just pass our pages one by one and calling them with a name. For example, if it is our home page and another screen is our settings screen, I'm going to use /forward and then, for example, using setting in front of that, and with the same approach I'm going to say cityx. It is optional, you could use context, it is not very important what you call it. It is my preference to make it shorter, so I called it cityx, and then I'm going to call my another screen in front of it. And for example, for the third screen, we imagine that is our profile screen. So I would say profile screen and then cityx here, and I would provide the third screen here. So we have specified our route by its name and in a route. And then if we restart our application, it would run fluently without error. Why? Because we have said that the /, which is it could be the index page which you have to start with, is going to be my home page. Okay, so if you see, this is the restart complete and nothing changes, is as like as a home widget and everything works fluently. But I want to give you a trick and I want to make you a challenge. For example, imagine we want to start with a profile screen, but we don't want to change the profile screen to a / and make it index screen. How we could use it? There is another property called initialRoute, which is said that the initial route of application is that a screen which we are going to say. This property is used where you want, for example, to specify your splash screen without modifying that with the /. So I would say it could be the settings screen. But something I have to mention and is so important is that be aware of your dictation and something that you're writing here, because Flutter is so sensitive word by word, and if you don't write it correctly, it won't navigate and work for you. And I have a better solution for having mistakes in it. So if I restart it, the application would start in a second screen with another appearance when it's restarted, and as you see, it could be appeared very fast. Now you see that the initial route changes to the settings screen, but if I comment it and then restart it again, because we have specified the index page, it would returns to my home page. And then if we do not specify that, what would be happen? Let's see. I would comment that / and I would restart the application. If you forget the / index page, what would happen to your Flutter application? When you do that and when you restart it, you would suddenly see an error coming up and saying that there is no index page, bro. So you see my VS Code is giving me error and telling me, complaining about the /, which is the index route. You just provide me, or I would say, okay, but relax, we just try to see what would happen. So let's restart and proceed for our navigation. Until now, we understood the routes, how we could specify them, how we could name them, and we understand the initial route. And it's time to go and use navigation between screens. We go to the home page, and if we go in the previous video, we used the simple one navigation, which we say navigator.ofcontext.push, and then we say material page route. When you use named navigation, instead of that, you could use navigator class again .ofContext. In this time, you use push named, and then you provide a name for this route. What is the name for this route? Is settings. There you should be aware of your dictation. I would repeat it again because it would make you a very little mistake and would be lines for hours and hours, and you would understand, for example, for an S, additional S, you're struggling with a navigation. So for push, which is going to another screen, we use push named. If you haven't watched the previous video, which we have covered the basic navigation in Flutter, I suggest you to go and watch, and I will provide a link for you up to this cadre for your better access. So if we restart our application and let the error go away, I hope it haven't forgive us for our mistake. So I would restart it again, and I would say uncatched exceptions should not be seen in the debug area. So I would restart it again and see what's happened. Okay, so we restarted. It's making fun of me in front of you guys. And then when everything is okay, now we are ready for navigating to another screen by pressing this floating action button as we proceed with others. Now let's go to the second screen and see what we have done previously. Previously we used push again, and now here we would use push navigator.ofContext.push named, and also we would say profile screen, and we want to navigate to the profile. We have named the third screen with a profile. So if we saved it and press the text button, we would go for a third screen displaying here. Now we want to pop a screen back. Does it change in push name? No. The pop does not matter you use named ungenerated route or the basic routing, is same for all of navigator class, and you could use it with navigator.pop. So here in a third screen, if we want to jump one screen behind, we would say navigator.ofContext, sorry for my writing, of context.pop. With pop, we could just only pop a screen back to another one, and we go to the second screen and we could go back and forth to it. Okay guys, if you remember in a previous video, we have discussed about popUntill in a basic navigation, and we see that how it's hard to use with a basic navigation if we want, for example, to pop until a specified page. popUntill works fine and better with named route. popUntill was a function which pops your screens until the specific screen. If we imagine a stack of our screens, which we have talked about it in a previous video, and if we are here in this third screen and we want to jump to a home screen, we would use something called popUntill, because if we want to use the pop, we have to pop to the before and another one to the home screen, and we could use popUntill directly to that specified screen. So let me clear something that I have written in this screen and disable the tool and see how we could perform it. We call the navigator class and we say popUntill, and now instead of saying, for example, route is first, if you remember, because the home was the first route which we came from, this time we say go to the settings of that route which you are currently in, and then take the name of that, and this function takes a boolean parameter and said that until the name is not equals to this / pop the screens, and when you arrive, stop at that specific screen. And if you see, for example, if I navigate to the second and then third screen, we would navigate back to the home screen. So you see, everything is similar to the basic one, just there is just a named at the end of that, and also for the replacement that's applied. For example, if we want to replace our setting screen with a profile screen, how was the replace work? If you remember, and if you don't, I would tell you. If we have this stack of screens again, this is an example which we could reference it times by times and understanding how these functions work. This is our home screen, this is our setting screen, and this is our profile screen, okay? Now, if we are at the home screen, okay, we navigate to the settings screen, and then we want to take this setting screen out and replace it with another screen called, for example, with a profile. You know that we are going to use push replacement. But how it could perform with a named? With a named, just we add a named to it, and it could be very fine. How? This is the way. Navigator of connects dot push replacement named, and we just provide a name for it. For example, /forward profile. Now this time, instead of I know there is a typo here. Instead of pushing another screen on top of that, we took that screen out and replaced it with another one. So there could not be a back button there. So if I navigate to the second screen and to the third screen, if I press back button, there is no back, and you see that it exited from app. And then if we go to the Flutter app again, I hope that it opens, because that's the weakness of my system, sorry. Okay, so if we go to the second screen, and then here is a third screen, and by pressing that we pop it until a home screen. Until now we have learned about named, and as you see, that's similar with the basic, and just we add named and some configurations at the main dot. But here is a pro tip for you guys. If you want to get rid of typos and wasting your times in debugging, for example, an S here and missing an S in, for example, here, look at here, I said setting, but the actual name is settings. You see, just for an S, it would not work. And if you want to get rid of this thing, I would suggest you a better way. What's the better way? The better way is that to create a class. I would call it route_names dot. I would do it for my all projects, and it's very useful and handy. I would say class route names, and I would specify all names at one place as static persons. Static string, for example, home screen, and then I would assign a value of / to them, and then copy and paste other screens, for example, profile screen, and then I would say profile, and then I'm going to modify the third one, which is settings screen. Okay, settings, and now we have a class with static strings which are typed and ready to use. Then we come to the main dot, and instead of using handily typed, I would call my app, I would call my route names class, and since it's a static, I would access them without creating an instance, for example, a home screen. And then I would copy that and paste it here as a settings screen. And because there's a comma here, I would say settings screen. And I would replace it here also, and I would say profile screen. So let's make the order happens. And now I have a specify route, and this is the same way as previous, just we use a class all over here. And now here we instead of writing by hand, I would just call my class route names, and then I would call, for example, a profile screen. Very simple, and that would avoid any typo or anything that could occur in during of working with Navigator. So if I have added any value to your life, please consider like and subscribing my videos and supporting that by sharing with your kind words. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for next video.